Terence Crawford says he's looking at Pacquiao if he cannot get Errol Spence next. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We work in ESPN Plus about 6 days before Conor McGregor versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone, the return of McGregor. ESPN Plus pay-per-view. Purchase it using my link. It does help the channel phenomenally. And let's talk about it. Terence Crawford did an interview, link in the description, and he talked about his preferred choice for next. He says he talked to Spence on the phone, and he had that little Twitter rant and says, I was speaking facts. And I wasn't speaking any faulty news or anything like that. I mean, I was just speaking all facts. He saw that I was being irritated, meaning the Bernie. He was asked about that. He saw that Bernie saw that I was irritated. He grabbed my phone. He went on Instagram Live, and I just let him do it. I was laughing. And when asked about the Spence conversation on the phone, he said, you saw how it went and how it transpired on Twitter. And how I said I was going to call him. So I called him up and we talked briefly. Right? Crawford goes on to say in this interview that was that. Listen, when all things fall in place, that fight with Spence is going to happen. I'm looking at all of them, meaning Pacquiao, Spence, all the top guys. Spence and Pacquiao, them are the 2 1s and 2s, number 1s and 2s and 2s and 1s, however you want to put it. Those are the fights that I want at this point in my career, because those are the fights that get me to undisputed. So those are the fights that I really want in my career and I'm looking forward to. If I can't get Errol Spence, then I want Pacquiao, or vice versa. It don't matter. I would like them one after another. He also says later in the interview he wasn't really checking for Josh Taylor, who just signed with Top Rank, because Taylor is at a different weight class. So, listen, I'm going to keep saying the same thing. Love Bud Crawford. I think he truly wants the best fights. But it's the same thing. He's aligned with somebody and a promoter that probably can't get him those fights. Or, at best, it can't get it on his terms. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, he is, even if he could get the fight, it's going to come as it may type of stuff. Like, he's not in the position of authority. He's not in the position of, I don't know the word. Just in the position to dictate, I guess, you know. And that's the reality. I think he'll fight Spence. I think he'll fight Pacquiao. But to me, somebody's going to have to show me that this fight is made this year. Because to me, it still don't. I would never hold my breath that this fight is going to happen this year. Because, again, even though he wants it badly, and, you know, that's what the fighters are saying. It's like, what are the politics, the circumstances, the networks, the people in suits, the pissing contest? Who's going to budge? You know what I mean? So it's no different. There's just a lot of this in boxing right now. Ryan Garcia, he's saying he wants to fight Devin Haney and Gervonta Tank Davis. These are all awesome fights, but it doesn't look like we're anywhere close to getting those fights. Especially if he's fighting not Tank, but somebody Tank beat years ago in 2017 in Fonseca. You get what I'm saying? So me, as I've always done on my channel with my boxing and commentary and analysis, is I try my best to be reasonable. I'm a realist, and I try to keep it real. So these situations, if Golden Boy didn't allow Ryan Garcia to spar Tank, what makes me believe that they're going to put him in there with someone the quality of Devin Haney or Gervonta Tank Davis when they didn't even let Ryan Garcia spar Tank? You know, when they were matching him with guys like Fonseca. Same thing with Jaime Munguia. He just got hurt by Gary Spike O'Sullivan last night, you know, and then end up beating him and stopping him, being too strong, too youthful, etc. But he was hurt by him. Then he calls out Charlo, Triple G, and Canelo. There's no indication that these fights look realistic. And the same, in my opinion, for Terence Crawford. And Crawford's very good. We've always talked about that. I told you he's my pound for pound number one based on his ability, skill. So willingness doesn't get the people in the boardrooms with the suits to make these fights. And again, I don't think Bob Arum, Top Rank, and Team Crawford are in the position to dictate how it happens, when it happens. Errol Spence got 2 belts. This is just a fact. When Joshua had 3 belts and was undefeated, what did people say? You know, they said, oh, Joshua is the king of the division. Joshua dictates. Wilder's not getting 50-50. So what's the difference here? You know, Errol Spence has 1 less belt. He had a great 2019. His events, you know, look at the attendance for his 2 events. He's been on pay-per-view and done bigger pay-per-view numbers than the 2 fights that Top Rank chose to put Terence Crawford on pay-per-view. Victor Postal did about 50,000, and then the true numbers never came out for the Amir Khan fight, but it was rumored to be 90 to 150,000. So it's just like all indications is that PBC, you know, especially with the talent pool, Errol Spence having 2 belts, and it's just all the indications that they're in the driver's seat when it comes to the business side, the A side, and stuff that everyone loves to talk about. Man, I don't, like me, in a perfect world, of course, I don't even care about it, make all the fights. But again, as I just said a couple minutes ago, I am a realist. So it would be stupid of me to ignore the realities and the sides of the street and what boxing has given us with Cold Wars and, you know, pissing contests and, you know, promoter grudges and lawsuits, and just ignore all that to make it look like everything is all sunshine and rainbows. I'm not doing that because I don't see that being the case. It's just like you turn on the 5 o'clock news and you see a lot of negativity. You see crimes in your area, you know, people breaking out of jail and people conking old ladies in the head, raping people, kidnaps, murders. I mean, this is the reality of it. So I don't live in a, you know, this bubble where I'm going to pretend like these things aren't around and you don't have to protect yourself and be aware and cognizant of your environment. So, you know, some people choose to do that. They want to act like they live in a world where these things don't exist. I live in the current modern world where these things do exist. And to me, I don't really see the Spence Pacquiao being Crawford's next fight. Bomac did an interview a week ago, and he says Crawford's probably going to come back in March or April. So Pacquiao has 1 fight left with Al Heyman. Then we don't know what happens. What if Pacquiao stays and re-ups? What if he retires? What if he has Senate duties? What if he says, oh, Mikey's staying on DAZN and DAZN offered me a bunch of money. I'm going to go fight Mikey Garcia on DAZN. You know, who knows? Who knows what the future holds like that? So I don't think Pacquiao in his last fight, if he didn't fight the whole time he was with Top Rank and they never made the fight when Bob Arum controlled both careers, Pacquiao and Crawford, what makes me feel that now that there's a buffer in between that, which is 2 different promoters and a bridge that needs to be crossed, what makes me believe that that will be next, despite Crawford wanting it. You get what I'm saying? Like, just to put this in perspective and give you guys an analogy, when there was no bridge to cross, Top Rank, Bob Arum, Team Crawford, Team Pacquiao couldn't see eye to eye and offer the fight or make the fight. It did not happen. There was no bridge to cross. They worked in the same building. Now Pacquiao left, you know, got fired from Lowe's or left Lowe's, and he's across the street with Home Depot. So now there's more inherent problems, network problems, you know, not wanting to give this fighter up. You know, Pacquiao, this is the final chapter of his career. Does he even want to fight Crawford? If he didn't want to fight Crawford before he lost to Jeff Horn, does he want to fight him in his last few fights? You know, we don't know these things. And then, as I mentioned with Errol Spence, I'm not even going to spend too much time. The man was just involved in a tragic car accident where he flew out of the whip. So he has to come back from that on his own terms. Whatever he wants to do, I'm supporting it because I think he's earned that as a fighter and just as a human. He had a great year, beat an undefeated Mikey Garcia, And see, Top Rank didn't make these fights. Mikey Garcia didn't fight Lomachenko, and Mikey didn't want to wait around, so he moved all the way up. The greater fight, and like I told you then, see how consistent I am? Like I told you then, I would have rather seen Lomachenko versus Mikey. They were champions in the same division, but because of the same type of politics, these fights didn't happen. You know, people didn't enforce it. I would have rather seen Lomachenko versus Mikey. Didn't get it. Now we don't even know if Mikey can ever make lightweight again. He don't look like he's heading that way. He's fighting Jesse Vargas, who just fought at 150 plus. So a guy coming down from the 150s, now he's fighting him at welterweight. So we may never get that fight. This is what happened. So, you know, people want me to stress and stuff. I'm not stressing. This has been going on. All this stuff has been going on. If Pacquiao and Crawford were really going to fight, I think the best option to have made that fight was when they were on the same side. That would have been the easiest. It's easier to, like, when I worked a job, when I was a salary manager, this is how it was. It was easier if we can find an employee at Lowe's and promote within and have a body of work to choose from, and we found someone, a candidate that was worthy, and then offer the position to him and then promote within. That was always easier than a wild card, somebody coming from Blockbuster Video or Toys R Us, because we don't know their track record. You know what I'm saying? So the goal was to mentor people in-house and make the in-house promotions if possible. But if there was no one qualified, of course we would seek outside opportunities. So like I said, Top Rank did not make Crawford Pacquiao when it was an in-house thing. So now it becomes harder to make because you have to externally promote. You have, like I said in my job analogy, now you have to externally make the fight. You got to say, oh, what network? Who are the commentators? What's the purse split? Blah, blah, blah. When before you were managing both people's career, but between Arum, he said he detonated the fight. Michael Conks, you know, he didn't want the fight because he did interviews saying we don't like Crawford's style. So why would you like Crawford's style now when he just beat him, a motherfucker, at his own game in Mean Machine? You know, he's just getting better and better. So you like his style now? It just doesn't seem realistic, you know? So once again, it's just people keep talking and banking on this Wilder Fury stuff. You guys, I keep saying the same thing. Wilder Fury was already established before Top Rank got involved with Fury's career, so it had to happen. Spence and Crawford, unfortunately, doesn't have the same history. There's no rematch, you know, cliffhanger that everyone was left on. So, and the heavyweight division, truth be told, is much smaller. It's very easy to see the who's who of the heavyweight division. Welterweight, not so much. You got a lot of people on any given night. They could win, or, you know, you never know. People thought Sean Porter was going to get blasted out by Errol Spence. That wasn't the case. You know, it was a highly competitive fight. So welterweight is not the same as heavyweight any way you slice it. And I'm done talking.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.